You're holy, and are you, Lord God Almighty? Worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. You are holy, you're holy, Lord. Are you, Lord God Almighty? Worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. You are holy, holy. Are you, Lord God Almighty? Worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. You are holy, you are holy, you're holy, Lord, holy. Yes, you are. Are you, Lord God Almighty? Worthy, worthy, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. You are holy, you are holy, you're holy, Lord. Yes, you are. Are you, Lord God Almighty? Worthy is the Lamb, worthy is the Lamb. You are holy, you are holy, you are holy, you are holy, you are holy. My safe refuge, my treasure, Lord, you are. You're my friend and King, anointed one, most holy, yes you are. You're my hiding place, my safe refuge, my treasure, Lord, you are. My friend and King, anointed one, most holy. You're my hiding place, my safe refuge. exalt you. I will exalt you. I will exalt you. For you are my God. Father, we exalt you. I will exalt you. I will exalt you. I will exalt you. Tonight, I just want to encourage wherever you are, don't be a spectator. It's not about us in this place, it's about God. And we're here to exalt him and magnify him. And it doesn't matter if you might feel like I'm just at home in my room, but the Bible says that as we exalt him, he creates a throne in the room. Wherever you are, you can just begin to exalt him. Let's just begin to rehearse what they're doing in heaven right now. And that's worship. To worship him, we live. To worship him, it is an honor. Come on, lift your voices. And let's celebrate him tonight. We're not going to talk tonight. We're just going to worship. We're just going to lift up praise. So don't just watch us as we enjoy ourselves. We are enjoying ourselves here. But we want you to partake of what's happening right now. In the presence of God, the fullness thereof. Everything that you're looking for is in the presence of God. There is nothing that God cannot do. There is nothing too hard for him. He is the I am, the I am. And tonight we're just here to magnify him and exalt him. Come on, it's your voice. You're my hiding place. You're my safe refuge. My treasure, Lord, you are. You're my friend and King, anointed one, most holy. Yeah. I will bless your name. I will bless your name. I will bless your name. Come on and praise him tonight. Hey, come on and praise him tonight. Thank you, Jesus. Come on, let's glorify him wherever you are. Begin to shout a mighty hallelujah. Come on, let's join the angels in heaven. Are you ready to praise the Lord? I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. Come on. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. Are you praising? Come on. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. Hallelujah. I will praise the Lord. Hey, I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise him. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. Hey, I praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. I will praise the Lord. Hey, I will praise the Lord.
the lockdown one. Wherever you are, who has the final say? Is it your financial problems? Is it COVID-19? Is it your family problems? Who has the final say? Wherever you are, let the world know. Invite your friends. This is just to let you know that God is on your side. God is backing you. God has not left you. We are worshiping, we are thanking Him, we are honoring Him. This, you are unlocking your soul. You are unlocking your destiny. You are unlocking yourself. Jehovah has the final say. Come on, sing it again. Come on.
Who has the final say? Jehovah has the final say. Who has the final say? Jehovah has the final say. I said, who has the final say? Jehovah has the final say. I said, who has the final say? Hello everyone, welcome. We have something so special tonight, something very exciting. We have a topic on how to marry. Yes, how to marry, and it's not just for singles. Everyone's going to be blessed tonight, trust me. Even if you're married or you've married before, I know there'll be someone out there you can reach out to with this information. So make sure, wherever you are right now, call a friend on board, share the link, and make sure you spread the word, because this is a night you don't want to miss, and you do not want anybody to miss what we're about to hear. So make sure you connect and spread the word. We are talking about how to marry. And we have a special guest tonight. We have Bishop James Nanjo. He has blessed many marriages. And also, Bishop, actually, you celebrated your wedding anniversary yesterday, I believe. So, you know, he is the perfect person for us tonight to be talking about marriage. How long have you been married for, Bishop?
Some number of years, over 17 years by the grace.
Wow. So you hear that we have 17 years of revelation coming to us. So get ready. So without further ado, we just want to go ahead and just ask you, Bishop, please, can you just introduce yourself a bit more? Tell us about, marriage, what is marriage about, and, what is your own personal encounter that you can share, just to open up this.
I'm Bishop Nanjo. God bless you for connecting today. And this is a very important subject that every family, every home, every life must be open to, because this is, one of, if not the predominant foundation of family life, marriage. And so after traveling to over 45 nations and giving counsel to many marriages, many singles, people seeking to marry, and even people who are married, I think it is a good day to have this discussion, and let's see how it goes.
Absolutely, Bishop. And of course, during this season, it has caused a lot of people to become uneasy and uncertain about this whole marriage thing. A lot of weddings were cancelled, postponed, a lot of jobs were lost, there's been a lot of uncertainty, about rules and regulations, and even relationships have separated because of this whole pandemic we're facing. So, it's definitely a right time for us to hear this message. So I'm really excited.
Thank you.
But the first thing I wanted to just go back to is the beginning. How does one find a life partner? How do you find, where do you start from?
There are many channels through which an individual can find a life partner, but I'll be speaking from the perspective of a Christian, from the perspective of a Christian when it comes to finding a life partner. When the question goes, how does one find a life partner? First of all, you must be single to find a life partner. And when I talk about that, it's in categories, because I see it as there are many kind of single people. One, there is the fresh single. What I mean by that is the person who has never been in a relationship before, has gone to school, grown up, and trusting God to find someone to marry. They've never been in any relationship. They've never had a boyfriend. So that is a single person who has never married or been in any relationship. Then we have number two, the cohabitation single. The person that is not married, but is not single, but yet single because they are not married. So technically they are single but cohabiting. That's a single person. Then we have the divorced or divorcee single. A person who has married before but is divorced and is a single person actually. So that is another category of single. The question is, how do you find a life partner? Then we also have the person who is widowed, right? Or a widower, something of that kind. The husband or the wife is dead, and they want to marry again. So that put them also in the category of singleness. I've counted about 5 already. And then we also have what we call the senior single. The senior single are people who, by reason of working hard and building, people that have grown, senior single, they are in a certain age, maybe some age above mid-40s going, and they are also in their category. Then we have the professional single, if I can put it that way. They are in the professional world, working and making the pounds and making the dollars and building their accounts and raising their profile and influence, and they are exposed and all that. That is also a different category of single. And then we also have the single who has been in and out of relationships, right? That person who has been in and out of broken relationships, in and out, that's another kind of single. So if the question is asked, how do one find a life partner? We have to first answer the question of what kind or what type of single are you? That is where you can write from. Often there is an issue, even with Christians. People think it's difficult to find a life partner. But the problem is people fail to really do a proper assessment of the kind of single person they are. A raw single or a fresh single, what they look for in marriage is different from what a professional person or a career person in the corporate world, who is also a single but working and meeting people and going up and down. The senior single has been paying bills for a long time, paying bills, bought house, paying for their insurances and everything. And so those category of people too are there. And the question is, how do you find a life partner? The answer comes when you know what kind, what type of single are you.
Yes. Wow. I didn't even know there were so many types of singles. You always seem to put single into one bracket. Thank you, Bishop. So my next question, these are all questions that, real singles have actually given.
So if I can move on a little, a single who is fresh, I use the word fresh because they've not been in any relationship before. The way they marry is different. Then when you look at a single person who is a senior single, someone who has, been working hard, building their lives, paying bills, doing things, taking responsibility, a fresh single may marry straight from home, straight from the mother's home, straight from, the father's house, straight they go and they marry. They normally, do the literal, you shall leave your father and your mother, literal, right? It's not always literal like that. But they do the literal, you shall leave your father and your mother and be joined to your wife and be married. So those ones, they look at things different when it comes to how they find. Sometimes some do stress, but it doesn't take much for them to find. Most of them will marry their, school days friends or people they have left university with, or people they've, grown up, up with. So things along those lines. And the ones that sometimes in the different categories, because we're not going in that, fully grown area. But what I can say is depending on the kind of single you are. Have you been in a relationship before? And have you been in and out of relationship, maybe broken relationships? And then now you are a single, you're looking to find a life partner to marry. There is emotional content along those lines. There is psychological content along those lines. There are other things to look at, trust, honesty. So they look at different things along those lines. So we can go on and on, but mainly it depends on the kind of single person you are when it comes to finding a life partner. And when you are able to assess yourself, that is from there you can begin to talk, especially the kind of books you read, the kind of counsel you receive. It must all come to you from the perspective of what kind of single you are. That is how it goes.
And just, Bishop, just following on that, is there such a thing as someone being too young to get married and someone being too old? Because I know someone might feel like they are maybe 21, 23, and they feel they're ready for marriage. And their parents say, absolutely no, you have to finish your degree, you need to do your master's, you need to work and save money, before you get married. But maybe they feel like they are ready at that age. And then on the other side, you got somebody who's maybe 80, and she's found somebody and she wants to get married. I mean, is that okay? I mean,
marriage is about maturity, about responsibility and maturity. So once the maturity is there, and according to the law of any territory, the law of the land, when the law of the land begin to explain at what age can a person marry. So if a person meets those requirements of the law of the land, and the person is mature enough to take responsibility for marriage, that is where the whole thing is. The numbers has to do with the age and all that. You can be 40 years and people are praying for you to marry, but you are not ready for marriage. And then you can be 20 years. If according to the law of the land, you are qualified, it's legal for you to marry, and yet you are mature to marry. So I think you are never too young if you meet the requirements of the legal, the legal requirement of the law of the land. You are not too young, and you are not too old too. If you are 70 and you want to remarry, I won't use the word if you want to marry for whatever reason because of the category of singleness you find yourself in. I think nothing stops anyone from marrying, being too young or too old, as long as they meet legal requirements of the land, and also for a Christian, as long as you meet Bible, scriptural, requirements. Yes.
So how does one, like you talked about, the laws of the land, and, how does one actually build and become ready for marriage? What are the principles, tools they need to say, I'm ready for marriage? What does one need to do based on like the Christian perspective?
Marriage is like a voyage. Marriage is a voyage. And in the voyage, you'll be traveling with people. And the voyage can wreck. If you don't want the voyage to wreck, then Bible says, how can two walk together except they agree? So that is how the voyage works. So you need someone
to come along with you. And I can also say you need people to come along with you, because every marriage has people in the marriage that we all come along, but two people are marrying. They go along, others come along with them, celebrating them, honoring them, thanking God for their lives, that their marriage will work. And so if you don't want the voyage to wreck in the journey of that marriage, there is some preparation that ought to be done. And that is second to none. There should be a 000 tolerance of, where preparation is concerned. You have to prepare. And that is where Christian marriages come in the picture. By saying that, I don't say that, Christian marriages sometimes don't fail. But Christian marriages, because everything we learn from church, or the principles we learn from God's word, or the teachings you receive that some people call preaching, teaching of the word, devotion, Bible study, reading of books, all those things we do. Often, many Christians don't realize the kind of impact they make on you, the kind of impact they make on your habits, your livelihood in general, your desires, your choices. This is how, it works, because a man must be made, a woman must be made. And then the making of a man and the making of a woman, when it is done well, it can culminate in a marriage that you can trust that God's hand is on it and it will work. So the preparation, there is formal and there is informal. The formal aspect of it is the kind of families we grow in, the kind of environment and territories we grow in. What kind of church did you grow in it? What are some of the things that are taught in those churches? What kind of family you grew in? What did you see in your house? Did you see love standing like a pillar in your father and mother's house? Did you see wisdom? Did you see patience? Did you see kindness standing like a pillar? These are informal things that you see growing up. Did you see sharing, right? That people share things and things. Did you see politeness? Just standing like a pillar, and it's common there. So these are informal things. And also in your community, whether church community or family community, or the kind of friends and connections that your family is wired through, all that are part of the community. What are you seeing in the community? These things are ways through which people observe how things work. So some people grow up having some kind of ideas of marriage, knowing what they are looking for, what they want to get, without having any, formal training about marriage. But they've made their mind about things because of the community they find themselves in. Don't forget these days, social media communities, people, internet, YouTube, different communities. Some are virtual, and then some are also, personal things you see in your family, your father's friends, your mother's friends, and all that. So all those things they form part of the preparation process. And then the formal training, where people go to singles seminars and singles, programs, and they read singles books and books on marriages, and all that is part of the, formal investment, where people are intentional about what they are looking for. So they start reading and start preparing themselves. So we can look at it from the informal part plays a huge part, because that's what triggers the button for people to really come to the place where formally they want to really do it. And I found out that people spend a lot of money to do wedding, but they don't spend a lot of money to invest into formal training for marriage. Yeah.
That's really powerful. Thank you, Bishop. So
Yes,
I
sir.
just wanted to
Yes.
move on to the next part, just linking to what you're talking about, because you mentioned about community. And one of the places about community and people is in the church. And, you yourself being a bishop, you've blessed many marriages
Yes.
through the church. So my question is, what role does the church, or should the church play in the protocol of a marriage being held between the two couples, a couple?
What role should the church play?
Yes.
Okay.
How much influence should they have in the marriage, preparation for marriage?
Okay. You know, moving from community, when we talk about community and the church is a community, you have to understand that sometimes there's what I call emotional community. You know, I call it your emotional neighbor. There are people that are Christians, they live in America, and he is your emotional neighbor. You reason and kind of feel like the person. They live in Asia, and the person is your emotional neighbor. You live and feel like the person, and maybe they are Christians too. So when I talk about the community, sometimes it's not the physical, it could also be an emotional community. Your kind or your type of liking, you know, so that is the other aspect. But coming to this question of what kind of influence, if I'm right, should the church have in people's marriage? I think what the church does is the church rather helps people to marry. And the role, what I know, is that every church must have some form of procedures as to how the church gets involved in people getting married. And all those procedures should be biblical. It may be different in different churches, but it should be biblical. Now, when you look at the Bible, and the Bible says, don't be quick to lay hands on a person. You know, by so doing, you share in the person's sin. You can also share in the person's blessings. So when the church lay hands on a person and bless them and says, you are blessed. Maybe they've taken somebody's husband. Maybe they've taken somebody's wife. But just because the church blessed it, it's marriage. Wow. Right? So the role the church plays as part of the procedure is that if we are going to bless somebody's marriage, to become married, we have to know who they are. Are they born again? Are they Christians? Do they know Jesus? Are they committed in the church? Are they living for Christ? Are they living the Christ-like life? Right? So the basic requirement is you must give your life to Jesus. You have to be born again. You have to be a child of God. And then number two, you have to be willing to subject yourself, you're willing. You have to intentionally be willing to make a choice to want to go to a counseling, premarital counseling. It should be part of the procedure and the preparation process. Now, premarital counseling does not guarantee that two people will marry. Premarital counseling is the medium through which skeletons can be unlocked. Wow. And then the two can say, yes, we've been friends, we've talked about these skeletons, or I never knew about these skeletons. I don't think I can go along with this. My knowledge and wisdom and maturity could not go to that level to ask certain questions to know these things. But when we came to counseling and these questions are coming up, I realized that we'll go opposite. We belong to opposite worlds. It doesn't make them enemies. So sometimes counseling, we tell people when they come that the job we are doing is to help you know the guy you want to marry, to help you know the lady you want to marry. And as you are getting to know them, you know, that is where you both decide. So often there is intervention. If things, hardly does that happen. I think one or two, you know, I have seen that before, but hardly. Often there is intervention. And then, you know, things cool down, people are able to move on. But really, you know, counseling does not guarantee. So the requirement is premarital counseling. Premarital counseling. That is the basic requirement, and the most important thing is you must be born again. So that is where I'll go with that one.
Perfect. Thank you, Bishop. So you say premarital counseling.
Yes.
Some people, you know, when they're ready to get married, they're ready to get married, Bishop.
Yes.
So the question is, how long should premarital counseling be for?
Okay. If I can answer that question for me, with what I do as a marriage counselor together with my wife, maybe one day I'll do one with my wife. As what I do as a marriage counselor, I normally don't tell people, but sometimes when we begin counseling, I'll go in there. When I do counseling, I don't tell people what to do. I like to do customized marriages. I believe people are different. So I do counseling that customizes different people to the way it will work for them. Now, the way we do that is to first assess. I have premarital questionnaire. People fill those questionnaires, and it gives us a kind of an idea of where they are at. Number 2, is the person a fresh single? Is the person from broken relationships where a lot of soul ties have been established? When I talk about in and out of relationship, a lot of soul ties have been established, so it's a different issue. Is the person a senior single? Is a person like a career single? Is a person a divorce, single, a senior, a single, divorce single, or a widow, along those lines. So one, or cohabitation single, right? So we look at it from that. And then there are others I didn't mention. Another type of single people are those with children who are not married, right? That's another ball game, another type of single people. They all fall in all those categories. One person may fall in 2 or 3. So all that intensifies the kind of counseling we give to people. Because counseling, when you start mixing families, if somebody has children they want to marry, that means there are not going to be steps, right? Yeah, so all those things, right? Counseling, that is what determines whether you're going to have a 3-month counseling, a 1-month counseling, a 6-month counseling, a 1-year counseling. I've seen people that wanted to marry and had about 1-year counseling. You say, wow, is that 2 years? Because when you start doing the counseling, in the process, you start realizing that there is need to address issues. And because at every given point, we are not dealing with one person, it has to keep going on. And if they both understand mutually that if we overlook this in this counseling and marriage will crash, our voyage will wreck. So should we wait and, go through it well? We love each other, we want to marry. Should we go through it well? It doesn't happen all the time, but if truly there can be intervention by reason of helping people, and if they are Christians, they have basic discernment, and they can tell the counselor is not going to marry the woman, or if she's a woman, it's not going to marry the man. So it's for the good of the 2 people getting married. So if honestly and genuinely they are for the counseling, they are doing counseling, a lot of things come into being. Maybe the person has divorced and they found another woman they want to marry. We do 2 kinds of counseling. We do post and pre-marital together because they've married before and they now want to marry again. So we don't only do pre-marital counseling, but for the fresh single, we do pure pre-marital counseling. But there are others that we have to add post-marital and mid-marital, put it together to help their marriage. But there are people that don't have that kind of time. They think counseling is just tell me how to marry. Because I've had situations where people sat in front of me and they were in their 2nd or 3rd marriage. And I did ask them, I said, what are you doing different that is going to guarantee the success of this marriage? And they told me all that they would do. Then I asked the question again, that are you saying never did any of this in your previous marriages? They said, I did everything the same way. I did it. Then I said, you are going to do the same thing. They said, yes. And you think it will happen? This marriage will be sustained? They look at me, they didn't know what to do. And truly, they were doing the right things. But first broke, second broke, they were in the 3rd one. So what do? They need post-marital and pre-marital together. Because some have never had counseling. So you see, the restoration business is a business of great help. Helping people. It's the business of helping people. It's a business of helping people. And I think the body of Christ has come to that place that if we're truly going to help people to marry well, marry for the glory of God, we have to revisit the way we process marriage. I don't think any church wants to delay anybody's marriage, or any process should be in place to delay people's marriage. I think when people are ready, genuinely they will know they are ready. Except people don't value counseling. Because some people go to counseling and they've made their mind. They don't care about anything. Even when we see the red light, they say it's green, 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 green. It's green. It's green, man of God, it's green.
It's
Listen,
so true.
invite somebody, call somebody to watch.
It's so true because actually, when we think about it, when we are, getting into our careers and our professions, we go through training. We go through a process, and sometimes 3 years just to get into a field. So imagine you're going to get married to someone for the rest of your life, and you don't want to go through 1 year counseling. I mean, that's quite scary. I mean, I think you're doing the right thing, Bishop. You're helping marriages through this counseling section. But I just wanted to go into the whole wedding
Yeah.
thing, the whole wedding concept.
Big one.
Wedding, yeah, weddings. You see the white wedding,
Yes.
right? It's sort of a Western thing, I've been told. And so what happens? I mean, with the family I'm coming from, we have something called traditional marriage.
Okay.
Right? So, we have our own cultural way of doing it. And it's in the culture, it's seen as marriage. But then there's a requirement in a Christian belief or in what we've been told now is you do a white wedding after that as well. So, what happens? What if somebody isn't a Westerner? I mean, do they have to do a white wedding? I mean, how does it work?
I think we have to look at all this. These are all terms. When you say white wedding, are you talking about wedding? Are you talking about church marriage? So we have to look at it and then explain these things. Where white wedding, church marriage, traditional. So what is the white wedding? Are they saying the church wedding we do is what they call white wedding?
Yeah, it's when the lady's wearing the white dress and she's walking into the church and down the aisle.
Okay.
Yes.
But do you know why they wear white?
Actually, Bishop, I don't know why.
Okay. So people don't ask many questions. You don't really have to wear white to have a wedding. But there is a mystery behind the wearing of the white. There is a mystery. But before I get in there, I want you to invite somebody because you see, what we are doing here is key. Is key. Marriage money is what people are looking for much. People are looking for that. But they least invest their life, their time into it. So invite your friend, call them to come and watch this. Very, very important. Now, coming back to your question, when it comes to this issue about traditional, so what is the thing about the traditional? You're emphasizing more on the white marriage. What is the...
Yes, so for example, in traditional marriage, when they have a cultural way of accepting where two families come together, from the bride and the groom side, and they come to an agreement that they accept that these people can get married. So they say in that side, and once they've agreed, technically they're married.
Right.
So do they need to go ahead and walk down the aisle in the church? I mean, why going through that procedure again if it's already marriage?
Okay, so let me look at it this way. You're a child of God, you are born again, you're a Christian, so you have to make a choice. What do you mean by tradition? Right? What do you mean by tradition? Every tradition means something. Every customary rite means something. So here it is. In your tradition, ask, when people are going to marry, why do they take drink, alcohol? Why do they accept money? Why did they accept cloth? Why did they take cows? Why? You have to ask because people don't know. They think it's just the beauty of it. People think it's just the glory of it. Because sometimes, why do they dance a certain way even in some traditions? Now, I'm also coming across as one in the supernatural ministry and as one who has ministered to people, from traditional backgrounds. Some traditions, when they are having marriage, they dance a certain way. They dress a certain way. There are certain gifts, dowries, that you can't avoid. If you avoid, the marriage can go on. The question is, why those specific things? What are the meanings? What are the symbolisms of those things? For all you may know, if you get to know the symbols and the meaning, you may not want to do traditionally pure as you think. Your own kind of tradition may be different. For instance, some traditions, they take alcohol and pour libation and call upon the gods. Okay? Pure traditional marriage that people call tradition that they use for show, right? You know, they pour libation, call the gods to back this marriage. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, maybe if you ask, they will tell you that, right? But what you call tradition, most people forget that the full picture of what tradition is to invoke spirits, traditional spirits, is to invoke traditional altars. Hear this before you go off, because some of the things you don't know. You think it's just the kente and it's just the agbada and it's just the nice things. Because you are looking at it outwardly. I know that some people don't pour libation and all that, right? But you need to understand the concept, the whole idea behind it. So that is why traditionally, when people marry, the gods of that tradition have accepted, the gods of the land has accepted the marriage, so it's marriage. You don't need wedding. You don't even need the legal. You don't need to go legal. It's according to tradition, it has covered everything. It is marriage. The question is this. This is the question now. Does the law of the land now see that marriage to be legal? Is it legal? Tradition says you are married, but the law of the land is illegal.
It's not legal.
You don't have marriage certificate.
No.
So things do happen. People say, that's my wife. They say, what's the evidence? What's the proof? They don't have any proof. But traditionally, they are married. But the land doesn't recognize that marriage. You can't be called Mrs. Stone. Because that Mrs. Stone is not traditional. It's the law of the land. In your tradition, do they call Mrs.?
No.
In your tradition, do they call Mrs.?
No.
No. So we want to choose one part and we don't want to see the whole picture. So if you marry a man and you did it traditional and you didn't do legal because traditional say that is it, how legal are you bound together? If anything happens, that means the man is free to go and marry someone legally. Is that right?
That's right.
It's not bigamy. Is that right?
That's right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Tradition don't care. Some traditions allow people to marry 5, 6, 7. So when it comes to tradition, people are becoming so big on the force and the power that backs it. It's not the power of God. But on the other hand, when a Christian is born again and he wants to marry, the traditional, the other hand, is simply recognition of family, parental consent, family consent. That is the other aspect. Recognition of family and parental consent that their daughter or their son is getting married to another. So that angle within that pedigree, I think that one, when you say tradition along that area, is great. But even after that, people still proceed to the legal court to legalize the marriage. Is that right?
That's right.
To legalize it.
That's right.
Good. So after it is legalized, people who are Christians says, I want the blessings of God on their marriage. So that is where what we call wedding comes in. And they say the white wedding. If you want him to proceed, the white wedding is spiritual. You know, wearing the white is spiritual. Because let me say this. The first single was supposed to be a virgin. And so in Bible days, when the virgin married, as a proof that the person was a virgin, they made her wear white. And in the morning, they'll go and check and see there was blood in the white. As evidence, there was no any line, there wasn't any shady stories. It's true, this was a virgin. So heaven did not take delight. Heaven did not take delight with those that took virgins for granted. It was a big thing to maltreat virgins. So the white is not a Western thing. It's a Bible thing. But you don't have to wear white to marry. No. You are born again, your heart is white, your spirit is white. You are refreshed, you are renewed. In fact, you can wear jeans to marry. Yeah, so why do people have problem with that? You can wear jeans, you can wear t-shirts to marry. You can stand by the seaside, call bishop, and you want to do seaside wedding, you wear jeans. So if people are complaining about white, why would they complain about wearing jeans to marry? You want to wear shorts to marry? Why should they take sides of that? You understand? So the white, by saying that when you are born again, you are a child of God, you are a virgin for Christ, man or woman. So the white is just also a symbol of pureness, a symbol of celebration, cleanness, that you're going to keep your marriage clean and pure. So I think sometimes people blow things out of proportion and want to create, spiritual segregation and all those things, and then begin to push an agenda. But the truth is, you don't have to wear white to marry. But then it was part of, the system that if you're a fresh single, you're about to marry, you yourself were desiring to wear white. And if the man went to honeymoon or slept with you and there was no blood in the white, it started problems. So people think it's just white, wedding, Western wedding. No. It's not Western wedding. That's a spiritual symbolism. Yes, my daughter.
So my question is, Bishop, what if, a couple decides that they're a Christian and they want to marry, but they just can't afford this whole thing. And so they decide to just go to the registry and forget about traditional marriage, forget about everything. They go to the registry and get themselves legally married and then come to church and bless it.
Okay.
Is that acceptable?
Right. So what we say to people is this. You don't have to be in competition with anyone. I think once people love each other and they've come into terms through maturity, they want to marry and settle and live together, they're going to have a long journey in life. But it's just beautiful that if a gentleman finds a woman and they love themselves, they want to marry, it's just beautiful you honor the lady. It's just, it's just a beautiful thing. But you don't have to spend your livelihood to do that because you're going to live after.
That's right.
So whether traditional, legal, all that, I think sometimes people do draw the lines to make it look like one area is too hard, one area is simple, one area is easy. I think two people that want to marry want to have peace in their marriage. Right. And they want the blessing of God in their marriage. So sometimes you realize that traditionally, people are overconsumed. They spend a lot, do a lot, and then wedding too, they spend a lot, do a lot. Legal too, they spend a lot, do a lot. I don't have any problem if, you wake up one day after you go through counseling, and then you go to, the court, and then you become legal, and then, there is some kind of recognition. Every human being comes from a family. Somebody will not raise a daughter or a son for 20-something years and, a daughter, and then another guy just walk in and just whisper some stuff into her heart and just take her away like she never was connected to anywhere. I think the man himself should, feel awkward, because if a girl can just walk away from the parents like that, then you yourself should be thinking twice, because she can walk away from you easily in the future. So these are the things. And then moreover too, when there are issues in the future, you have the community to stand with you. In the multitude of many counselors, there is safety. So, the family, what we call traditional, which I call recognition of parental authority, recognition of the family community, right? And then the law court. Now, if your family, if there's no traditional, how does your brother know that you married? You just show up one day. I just came from a legal court. See my hand. Whoa! So the whole thing about traditional, which some people call engagement. Because don't forget, traditional is not what everybody does. Some people call it engagement. They can meet somebody on the street and go on their knees, which is, becoming the big thing now, and go on their knees and then, put a ring on their hands, and then their friends will pick the selfies and say, hey, I just engaged this. Some people do plan it, and then, for purposes of what they want to do, you know, they just go and do. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but some do work out nicely. But so traditional one thing, and sometimes engagement, that two people have engaged and they want to marry, but there must always be some parental consent, which doesn't always mean traditional. It means there is parental consent. He raised a daughter or a son, gone to school, studied, building life. They have expectations, they have plans, and then a young man break in. It's beautiful, respectful, that they know who you are. You are not a thief. You are not a ragamuffin rascal. You are not a vagabond. You are not, you mean business. You want to continue where they have brought the daughter to. You prove and show yourself mature when we talk about maturity and all that. It's beautiful. So I think all those things doesn't involve too much money to do. And then comes the wedding. Wedding doesn't mean that you should spend your livelihood. You don't really have to, invite a lot of people and say wedding. Once there's parental consent and then the law of the land, because if a priest blesses a marriage that is not recognized by the law of the land, the priest is in trouble. So the priest must know, or the church must know, it's legal that the man marrying the sister is not going to be bigamy. He is not married another person already, legally, and he is trying to marry another again, or vice versa. So we have to know all those things so that we don't buy into another person's sin. So that is one aspect of it. But if all those things are cleared off, all you need is for your marriage to be blessed. So the wedding, it depends on what you want to do. What the church does is we come to bless it. If you don't want to drink anything at your wedding, you don't want to eat any food at your wedding, you don't want pictures, video at your wedding, it is up to you. The blessing is what matters.
Hallelujah, the blessing. So, move on to the next point. Then does that mean that you don't have to be financially sound before you get married? Does a man need to be financially sound before he gets married?
Just a man or both?
Oh, woman.
A man, mostly. I mean, what some of you call love, especially if you're a young person, listen to me carefully, is key. What many people call love is not love when there's no money. Many fresh singles don't know what love is. They spell love L-O-V-E. But when they marry, they begin to spell love as secure. Security. So some people, if there's no money, there's no love. And I'm telling you, you cannot marry totally not financially sound. That means the marriage will not be sound. I'm not saying marry with all the money in the world. When we talk about maturity, it means responsibility. At least basic, you pay rent. Basic rent. Basic, you can buy pillow to sleep on. Basic, you can buy eggs to eat breakfast. At least you have some kind of income that you can eat egg in the morning for breakfast. You can put your head on pillow, right? Basic, you can buy slippers. You forget about high heel slippers. Yeah? I mean, basic, you can buy toothpaste. Yes. Can you imagine you wake up in the morning, your wife is speaking to you, there's no toothbrush, no toothpaste, and you're calling it love. So when we talk about, financial soundness, being sound financially, we're not saying all the money in the world, have everything, be okay. No. But there must be basic requirements of life. That's right. Roof on your head. Okay. Roof on your head. Food to eat. Water to drink. Basic requirements. And I think people can work from there. So if I can answer that, I won't say all the money in the world, but there should be something that is bringing in some kind of income that can sustain, the two that has become one. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's very clear. I hope you're all enjoying this. Please don't forget to invite your friends to watch. It is powerful.
Thank you.
I'm just going to move on a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
The Bible says, I believe it's in Proverbs, when a man finds a woman, he's found a good thing.
Yes.
So it says when a man finds, not a woman. So, woman, are we supposed to wait? Are we supposed to wait for the man to come? Or does the woman pursue looking for a man? Just wanted to know your opinion on this.
Yes, when a man finds, he finds a good thing. So the question is, should a man always be finding or a woman to come find? I think there is a natural instinct that God has placed in women is a pride that God has put in women that makes women always want to wait. They carry seed for 9 months and they wait. The children are born and the men can do everything, but the women wait. They wait to see children growing. They have this divine ability and blessing to wait. Unlike men, women have the grace to wait. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a powerful blessing. It's grace. Women wait upon children, wait upon men, wait upon husbands. They wait. And they make a blessing group of people you can work with because they know how to wait. The womb is all about waiting. So it's not bad for a woman to wait. That is how she's been created. But by waiting, we don't mean wasting time. By waiting, we don't say, it should become a negative thing for a woman. So yes, a man must find a woman, has that pride in her that a man, proposed to her, or a man has a liking in her and wants to go out with her thinking about marriage. I think in any other day it makes an everyday woman so proud. It makes an everyday woman so comfortable in their skin. It makes an everyday woman feel they are needed, they are valued. It makes an everyday woman feel treasured. And I think that is where it is at. There are also, other situations like the case of Boaz, where, he's sleeping in his bed and then, he wakes up and then Ruth is, lying somewhere there. And, so there is those kind of situations now. So what we are saying in that case is that I'm not saying a woman can make, can propose to a man or in that sense. But there are other things that can happen that can compel a man. Some men want to ask a woman to go out, but he doesn't see himself to be at the level of the woman. If maybe she is a professional single, a career single, right? She is a big corporate lawyer. She is single, and the man is thinking about the shield. She's a big corporate lawyer. I don't think she will accept me when I go close to her. I don't think so. But if you're a woman and you see the qualities in the man, and you think it doesn't matter my degree, my background, this guy doesn't have any education, but I think I can build life with him. I think I can gel with him, if I can use that word. I can move with him. There's nothing wrong, right? For the woman, maybe you go to church, after church, hey, Brother Mike, is it okay, if you are free, we can have tea? Don't take offense if he says no. Don't take offense if it will not work. The best way to do it is you have to confide in 2 or 3 friends, male and female friends, especially if it's couples who are married, it's best for you. And, the couple can invite Brother Mike together with you and maybe other people, but there is a background operation going on, and then you go to have tea. This is where most singles must know that connecting with marriage couples is a big plus for single people that they don't know that. Because if you take him brother Frank out with your other single friends, if you are not careful, one of your single friends will be fast with Brother Frank. But when you have other marriage couples, so you can declare the intent of your intentions. That look, I think Brother Frank, is an okay guy. I think I like him. I don't know if he's in a relationship, But I will not mind to try if it will work. If it doesn't, I will not mind. Maybe Brother Frank may not want that way, right? But this is how these things work. It's all about communication, interpersonal relationships, and then the question was also, can a woman, right? Yes. Yeah. I won't go there. I was going to talk about trust transference, but I won't go there for now. If any other question comes in, I think it's all about relationships. Yeah. Build relationships in a way you can leverage on a couple, a marriage couple. You can leverage on a marriage couple, or you can leverage on a friend. I will normally marriage couples. Normally that's what I would do. But friend, it can be good, but you can never tell, right? But marriage couples, leverage on them, and and I think it can begin that kind of transaction. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Bishop. So what about a lady who has, been doing all those things like you've been talking about, been making, some hints to potential candidates, for marriage. She's even gone far, to invest in new clothes. She's buying all the latest jewelry in town. She's adding extensions to her eyelashes. Doing the contour, highlight, pedicure, fresh Brazilian hair. Chinese, Malaysian hair, and she's getting all of that done. And she's just feeling distressed. And you know what? She's frustrated. And she's in her church. She's committed. She loves her church, but no one's approaching her.
Yeah.
Can she go to another church with an agenda to look for a husband?
Is it only she or he too?
And he too. He too.
The important thing is you want to marry a Christian. That's the important thing. Someone that can build with you, you can grow with, and have a future with. They don't have to really come from the church where you go. They don't have to come from the church where you go. You can meet a Christian at the bus stop, but I pray you don't meet your husband at the bus stop. But there's nothing wrong with that. You can meet a Christian, in different gatherings. You understand? Now, so that comes to a point. But I think if I can go to this angle from where I ended, relationships are key. There are people that are marriage materials, but they are not relationship materials. When they find a man, they can grow the relationship and build it. But building relationship to become a married couple, they don't have that grace. There are men that when they get a woman to marry, they will sustain marriage, they will be responsible, they will be able to cope, come along, but they don't have that grace to be spending time with the woman, to be looking to propose. There are women too that are laid back. They are smart, they are intelligent, they are spiritual, they love God, they respect themselves, and they are proud of themselves. I'm not talking about pride. They are proud of themselves, and so they are waiting. And that's the best thing to do. And so the thing is, trust transference. When you do everything and nothing is working, look at trust transference. Greater percentage of people married because of their friend knew somebody knew somebody, and because the person has a good character, they are able to refer you to somebody and say, this person, I think, can you look into that? And you trusted in the credibility of the one referring you, the credibility of the one who is talking to you. That is, you trust that person, so the person's trust has been transferred to you, having interest in whoever they are talking about. Many people marry that way. Trust transference. So that is why you have to talk. Who knows you are single? People walk around who don't have any husband, but nobody knows they are single. Because who have you told you are single? You've not told anybody you are single. Except people that care, that play some level of have some level of spiritual authority over your life that naturally know that can be talking to you here and there. But generally, sometimes, some people can go to a place for a long time, and I've seen that before. They say, I thought she was married. And we are like, no, she's not married. Oh, I thought she was married. I wanted to marry her.
Yeah.
Those things do happen.
Yeah.
So sometimes, nobody knows you are single.
Yeah.
So the way to do is talk to people. You have to show yourself respectful. You have to build relationships. And I think many marriage couples genuinely love to see people get married. So make many marriage couples your friends. I mean, people that mean well for you, people that you can understand, people that you can really feel free to communicate with. These are the things that happens. So if they know you, you've walked around, talked, and you can tell them what you are looking for in a man, what you are looking for in a woman. If they know a friend that knows a friend, they know another couple that know a brother of a couple, a sister of a couple, we begin to keep working from a distance, virtually. You check if you like the next step, if you don't like it. So these things work. I think Christians should not be single that way because they can't find. It means people are not working. And if people are not working, it means you are not disclosing who you are.
Say who you are. Announce it.
Yeah, who knows you are single? Is it because you don't have a ring on your hand? No, nobody knows. What if a man has been picking you in front of the church every Sunday? Who knows? And we used to see that a lot. What if you've been coming to church with your brother and people think he's your husband?
It's true.
Nobody knows. So people must know you are single. Talk. You have to talk. It doesn't mean you are parading yourself. Hey, you want to marry? You want to marry? Talk.
We've heard you, Bishop. Everybody must talk.
Talk. Even your friends sometimes don't know you are single. They think you have some man somewhere. Hey, declare your stand. Talk. And trust transference is a key. People can transfer their trust. A sister can see a brother. It's not the kind of man she wants to marry. If you are not too proud and he's the kind of man you want to marry, I think if you are friends, she should be able, through trust transference, transfer you to that relationship. So these are the things that sometimes, everybody must marry. We are on a revolution.
Everybody must
Yes,
marry.
talk to me.
Amen. So a man and a woman have found someone, but they happen to be a Christian, committed, serving in their church, and they find a man or a woman who's also committed, serving in their church.
Yeah.
Where do they go after they get married? That's the question.
Say it again.
So we have two singles that are pursuing marriage that go to two different churches.
Yeah.
But they are both committed in their churches, both love God, both serving. The question is, after marriage, which church do they go to?
Where would they grow? Where would they grow? Where would they both grow? There are some churches you take your husband there, you will not grow again. You are preparing towards divorce. Wow. Some churches you take your husband to, you will grow. You take your wife to, you will grow. These are choices people make. They are choices that everybody must make. But the first question is, where will the marriage grow? That is it. You have to understand this. That when you marry, you can't walk to anybody because you belong to that church to just talk for them to invest in your marriage. Why will anybody invest in your marriage? People invest in your marriage on the basis of relationship, not just because you go to church there. On the basis of relationship. So, I won't exhaust that too much, but all I'll say is, where will the man and the woman grow spiritually? Do you just want a church? Do you want just to parade yourself? Do you just want to parade your marriage? Or you want longevity? You want quality? You want stability? Then look for the place where you will grow. Some churches, you take your husband to another woman who will take him away from you. Some churches, another man will take away from you. And I've seen that. I've seen it. where will they grow together? So I think it comes back there. If both of them can grow under one anointing, they stay there and then grow together. Because if a couple are not growing, then the voyage will have a problem. And there is a place where the man can grow and the woman can also grow. So I think it comes back to growth. Are they going to grow? The decision must be made that way. You can be in a church and they'll call you deacon, they'll call you all manner of names, but it's a name. But it doesn't mean you are growing.
It's true. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So the next point from that is, should a church get involved on choosing a spouse for their members that are single?
Some churches do that, but I don't think it's a healthy practice. That a church chooses, the church is not a cult. The church is a covenant. And if a person is really matured, all they can get, not from the church, maybe from some individuals or some respected people in the church, is counsel, suggestions, but not to superimpose or force. Sometimes you have to help people to see light, but you don't force it on them, because you don't go and live in the house with that man when the lady marries. You won't go and live in the house with that woman when the man marries. So sometimes you just help people to really come to revelation and see things that maybe they've not thought of, they've not really looked at from that angle. That is what I would think should be done, but not to say, hey, here, take, marry. I think vice versa. I've seen a church somewhere that did that, and it caused a lot of problems for many marriages, and I don't think it's a healthy or a good practice. When a church does that, some people will like it. Some people will like it, but when problems begin, they will say it's the church. Yes. I think it's marriages for free human beings, people who are free, who are themselves, and the recommendations can be made, suggestions can be made, light can be thrown at people, but all is towards helping individuals to make a healthy choice and decision, which I think continually creates a healthy marriage than when the church say, hey, take. The church is not distributing center for marriages. Yeah.
Powerful, Bishop. Yeah, we have to protect the church, yes. You shouldn't put that pressure on the church, but I think, like you're saying, assistance and guidance is what is key, so that there's any issue. Oh, the church, you gave me this person,
But he said to the church, thank you for giving me the person.
So my next point, Bishop, you have an amazing wife.
Yes.
Lady Nina.
Yes.
We salute you. And the question is, how do you know this person is the one? How did you know that she was the one? How does somebody identify their life partner? How do you know?
Purpose, vision, destiny. 3 things. What is your purpose in life? What is your vision? Where are you going in your destiny? The woman you are going to marry, are you going to be happy with her in your destiny? Or is just for today? So the whole thing about how do you know and all that, there are some few questions you have to answer. Now, what is attracting you today, will it attract you tomorrow? And that is where vision comes in. You don't make short-term vision choice. You make long-term vision choice. You marry with a long-term sight. The marriage is going to be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and will you come across the same way? So purpose, vision, Destiny. Destiny. What is the summary of your destiny? Where are you going? What is your direction? When we do marriage counseling, we ask people, what is the purpose of the man you want to marry and what are his plans? People do right. Do you believe he can achieve it? They say yes. We ask questions like, what part or role do you think will be required for you to play in his life or in her life to make it come to pass? Now, unfortunately, most people that want to marry don't talk about these long-term things. They only think about love. We connect. We are one. It's not true. Because there is a point in marriage, it's not about love. It's work. And it's about life. There can be love, but if there's no life and work, love will vanish. And it is purpose, vision, and destiny that drives life, that drives love at a certain point in marriage. So people marry and the person they loved 10 years ago, after 10 years, the love is no more there. What happened to love? It's lack of purpose, destiny, vision. The clear vision is the clear scriptural picture of the future. So before you make the choice of this woman or that man, you must have a clear scriptural picture or pictures of your future. So do you see the woman in your future or is short term? I don't think short term marriage is of God. Mid term marriage, no. Long term marriage, no. It's eternal. He said, until death parts them. So the whole thing is not some people say, I was praying and the Holy Ghost told me, she's the one, she's the one, she's the one. There's nothing wrong with that. But the Holy Ghost normally here for you. So after he told you, how ready will you be to use the virtues or the fruit of the Spirit to marry her or to marry him? So purpose, vision, destiny, purpose. And I found out that many people that want to marry don't talk much about purpose, vision, and destiny. They talk superficial. They don't talk deep. They talk superficial. They don't go deep. Some people are scared when they are going to go the back of. They don't want deep. But you don't want deep. You don't want to swim deep. You want to keep marriage for 20 years. It doesn't work that way. So purpose, vision, destiny.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Next question is, I don't want to be biased here, but it seems like a lot of women are willing to get married, but the men are holding back, especially in the church. So how should we encourage Christian single men to just marry?
Mommy's boys needs help. And mommy's boys needs help. And I think that's a big thing. I don't think the men are not ready. These days, the women are, how do I put it? They mature quick. I'm not talking physical. I'm talking in the attempt for achievement and dreams and accomplishment and, desires. And the women, they are moving fast. I don't know what happened, but I think with my encounter with people over 45 nations, what I've found out, I've met more women who are doing well in business, more women who are, who are forceful, more women who want to achieve things than men. I have not been around this world for too long, but as early as maybe the late 80s, 90s, what I saw was that more men wanted to achieve and, but I don't know what happened. It's like the men have gone on holiday. And these days you have a lot of mommy's boys.
Oh dear.
A lot of mommy's boys. The men that are they just want, if I can use the word, I don't want to go there too, But a lot of men who are not, they are not achievers. They are not hunters. They are not warriors. Men should be warriors. They should be hunters. They should be achievers. Goal setters. So these things have become an issue now. And the men want to marry, but sometimes they don't see themselves worthy of these women. Yeah. Sometimes they don't see themselves worthy of these women. That is one aspect of the equation. The other aspect of the equation is that there must be a whole reconstruction of how we raise men. Most men must begin to go down on social media because pornography and many other things are robbing the minds of many men, impeding, depleting their concentration, impeding and depleting a proper way of the making of a man. The church must change our syllabus, apart from preaching on the pulpit and teaching. Even men we call into pastorate. Sometimes they are not made well, they are not well baked. There must be a total re-civilization, reconstruction of how we make the new man for marriage. I believe that. That is what I believe, because a lot of things now in this world is looking for the men. That is what Solomon said in chapter 4, Proverbs. When I was with my father, he taught me and he said, the man must be guided than ever before. It's a big problem, and great help is needed in that area. That today's church is no longer a place you go for sermons and you are taught how to, serve God and how to love God. Today's church, the responsibility is bigger than what we thought it was before. Today's church is the Father's house. Today's church is, a school. Today's church is the place where there are raw materials to raise men, to build men. So I think the issue of the men, we can stay on there and go on and on and on and on and on. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But there must be new models. There must be, pastors must begin to talk. Fathers must begin to talk. What should we do to this man? Yeah. I think later we can go on that whole journey, just men. Just men that must marry. And then, we go in there. Yes.
Yes. Thank
Yes.
you, Bishop. So my next point
And
is...
sometimes I think fear is an element. Fear.
Yeah.
Fear. Most men are scared. They are scared. They are scared they are not well equipped. And they have a wrong picture of a woman. Wrong picture of a woman. Most men think women like money. Most men think women are problem causes. Most men think when they marry, they won't have their way. They can't play football again. They can't work with their friends. So the everyday mommy's boy. So they want their freedom. But they don't know that, all that can still kind of work through. Yeah, go ahead.
So do you think, touching on that, there might be an element of selfishness that can cause people to be single and not get married? Because now we're living in an era where everything's about self. Me this, me that, me this. I need to get this going. To the extent where they forsake the whole journey of marriage. They put it aside. They even delay, even if they see someone who has the potential, They put that person aside to say, no, I need to work on this. I need to work on my career. I need to work on this. So the agenda is now turned to about myself, self-care, as they say, self-care, self-development, and all those kind of aspects.
Yeah.
And of course, basically for women especially, one of the things that a lot of the women raising up now, they're kind of under pressure to always be a successful woman, because women have to be, like you mentioned, women are powerful, so they have that element, I have to be big and rich and have a great job for me to be recognized. So a woman might now potentially not even pay interest towards a man, just work on building herself and forgetting that, hey, you're getting older, what happened to the marriage goals, and it's just more about me. To even the extent that maybe she even sees someone who doesn't see him because she's more thinking about herself or building herself or money, which isn't always a bad thing, but it's just where the element of selfishness takes over. Do you think that might be part of why some Christians today, single Christians today, are single? Selfishness.
So, if I understand the question, the aspect of taking care of me, compelling single Christians to rather go after maybe their profession for a comfortable life,
Yes.
to have the money and the cars and all the things they think can give them the comfort before they look for marriage. And the question is that more of selfishness?
Yes.
I think it's more about fear of the unknown. I think it's about fear of uncertainty. That is what it is about. And so people want to avert the fear of the unknown. It's like a journey, you don't know what is going to happen. And then whether the woman or the man wants to say, I want to be able to control the future. And so I'm going to get money, I'm going to get a house, I'm going to get this, and then start this journey so I can control the future. I think it's more to do with ignorance, that people don't trust God. People don't believe that God can bless them. If you have those things before you marry, there's nothing wrong with it. But if your mind is telling you you have to get that before you marry, it means you don't trust God. But you also realize, even after you've gotten that, you're not just going to marry just that. There will be other responsibilities, moving forward. And you always need income. You realize that the level you are at now, as you move on, you want to step another level. So that journey doesn't end. The journey of, creating streams of income, working and building, it never ends. But I think it's more about people are scared, people fear about the unknown, fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty. So if they feel covered, they are okay. The third one is insecurity, or people seeking for security. Most people, especially women, don't want to be financially insecure, right? Financial insecurity can make love go blank. The love, database can go blank because of financial insecurity. And financial insecurity can also make a man literally feel, emotionally or personally insecure, right? So these are some of the things. So sometimes people hide behind that to think, if I can work hard, build, get everything before I marry, that will be okay. But don't forget, even after you marry, what you could do with maybe 20,000 today, maybe tomorrow you will need 60,000. So things change, and you may still be in that position even after you marry. That means every time you are met with that situation of the unknown, the same cycle will begin again. I think the basics, like I've said, if people can have the basics, maybe you have a job, you can, keep a roof on your head, you can, pay for toothpaste and pillow, a bed to sleep on, buy eggs to eat breakfast and things like that, and start building your life and trust God. I think the basics that are in place that can keep you moving to keep climbing the ladder is better. If you have money too, there's nothing wrong with it. But don't use that as an excuse. But if I don't get that, I don't want to step into marriage. Yeah.
Thank you, Bishop. So on the issue of trusting God, this takes me to the next question.
Yeah.
What role does faith play in the life of a single pursuing marriage?
What role does what?
Faith,
Play?
yes. Faith play in finding a life partner, finding someone to settle down with.
If you are a Christian, faith plays a big role. What do you believe? Do you believe in Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior? You see, that is the Christian life is like marriage life. You can never understand Christianity if you don't understand marriage. And I love the way God did it. From the Garden of Eden, Adam is kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and then he goes away with Eve. Abraham and Sarah, with all the ups and downs, they stick together, they have Isaac. And when you come back to the book of Ephesians, I think chapter 5, you see there again, the Bible talks about the husband and the wife, and talks about how, Christ, the husband, stick with the wife, like the word that is used to cleanse her, like the way the church is cleansed. So you see all these things there. So serving God, faith in Christ, is almost like a marital life. And you look at the days of Hosea. Gomer goes away. God sends Hosea to go and bring the prostitute, and then God says, it's just like the way he holds Israel. It's like he's married to Israel. No matter how long Israel goes, God will bring Israel back. So faith plays a role. What role does it play? It teaches you patience. It teaches you love that sticks. It teaches you love that never fails. These things don't come because you've seen a woman you want to marry. These things should be part of you before you see a woman. Love is not what you find when you meet a woman. Love is what you have because you're a Christian. And then when you meet a woman, the attraction, you are able to apply that love for that specific woman, for a wife. But if you have not grown that virtue as a Christian, which is the role faith plays in your life, then what you call love may be lust. It may not be love. It may be lust. So that is why a greater percentage of people think they know what love is. All they know is they can spell it, but they don't know what love is. What they know is lust. Because love never fails, and love is patience. So when a man comes into your life, he has patience to wait. A woman has patience to wait. That's what we call love. And so faith, that's the role faith plays. That when we sin, God can forgive us. So with faith, you know that when you wrong your husband, he forgives you. When you wrong your wife, she forgives you. All this is not marital principles. They are principles of faith that we had already before we go into marriage. If you don't have it as a Christian, you will struggle in marriage with it. Already you've been forgiving your friend who wronged you. So it's part of you. You are growing that virtue. And then the role faith plays as part of it. When you marry, faith continues to play that role. And not just forgiveness, but different areas of your life. Joy, peace, long suffering, different areas. Yes, prayer, seeking God in prayer, making requests known before God, talking to God about issues, situations. Yes.
Wow. This is deep. I hope you're being blessed by this. Wow. So my next point, we're going to get a bit deep here.
Yeah.
Can it be spiritual, Bishop? This whole singleness, prolonged singleness, could it be a spiritual matter?
Say it again.
Can it be spiritual? Singleness, prolonged singleness.
Mm-hmm.
Can it be
singleness
spiritual?
or prolonged singleness?
Singleness.
Can it be what?
A spiritual matter.
What do you mean by can it be spiritual matter?
Okay. So if you're coming from a family where there's no marriage,
Yeah.
can that have some element of impact in your delay, should I say, a delay in you getting married? Or
Okay.
if you've been waiting on God for some time, you've been doing the things you believe, the biblical principles, you have been praying, you've been fasting, and there's no sign, Bishop, there's no sign. So could the matter be a spiritual matter?
Okay, so I think if you are raised in an environment where there are no marriages, it can have psychological impact on you indirectly and you don't even know. Because that's not how you communicate, that's not how you talk, that's not how you reason. So many people don't know that they have what I call emotional paralysis when it comes to the area of marriage, because they don't see things from that angle, or you come from a background where marriages were brutal, or there were a lot of divorces. All these things can have some adverse impact on people in some of these areas they desire to marry. There are people that have been raised in families where in their whole life, in their family life, they've never seen more than 2 marriages, 2 weddings, right? They are in their 30s. Some people, their whole life, they've not gone to a wedding in their marriage, their family before, that they are going to a wedding to really see this is wedding. They've never seen it before, you know. So all this, in a way, one way or psychologically, can have impact, can have some negative repercussions on people's lives. And when you don't find the corresponding wisdom and knowledge through information from God's word to begin to confront the kind of woman you have become by reason of your upbringing, your background, and the events of your life, it can then become spiritual. If you don't take time to begin to, get the kind of resources and materials that can help you undo certain traits that has formulated your views, formulated the way you do things or see things, right? It can impede your desire for marriage. So when you leave these things for too long and they kind of take hold of your subconsciousness, the powers of darkness can also leverage on that until you get to that place where you believe that is how you are. You begin to believe that is you, that is how you are, that is you, that is how you are. So that kind of aspect of things are there, you know, and it's like you've forgotten that a snake is chasing you and you have to be fast, you have to be running. But then you are sitting down quietly, nicely, like having tea, like nothing is happening, life is normal. No, life is not normal. Life is not normal. Life is not normal. Maybe you have to be reading more. You have to be in single seminars. Anything single seminar, you don't get tired. You have to just keep on it. And if there be a spiritual problem, that is where, with prayer and things like that comes in, and there's also that angle. Yeah.
So should you go for deliverance before you marry?
If marriages don't work in your family, that's why the kind of church you go to matter. If marriages don't work, because not every church emphasizes these things, because many people believe that marriage is what you make happen when you are taught the principles. But if marriages don't work in your family, you never see marriages in your family, it's not what you see happening. And there are some people genuinely who can tell you they don't have a desire towards marriage. It's not, they just think they have to marry, but it's not something. There are women that will marry a man and will not know what to do with a man. They will marry a man and then they'll be looking at him. Why are we here? What do we do? They don't know what to do. A man can marry a woman and not know what to do with a woman. He doesn't understand. He doesn't know what to do. She is called Mrs. Stone. Mr. Stone. He doesn't know what to do. So sometimes, the prayer of deliverance, I have found it very fruitful when it comes to marriage. I think if many single people will keep quiet and receive help, I think even before you make your mind you want to marry, everybody must assess your background. Bible says in Psalm 11, I think verse 12, when the foundation be destroyed, what shall the righteous do? So you must know your foundation, know your background. And that will compel you to pray prayers the everyday woman don't pray. The everyday man don't pray. Because you understand where you're coming from. You just know where you are coming from. So deliverance, the deliverance means confronting the powers of darkness that is operating behind the scenes to deny a person their legal authorized right by heaven to, claim certain benefits, especially in the area of marriage in this case. So in deliverance prayer, we confront forces, we confront powers, we pray over people, and we unlock marriages, we reinforce God's divine purpose for their lives, and we've seen that help many people. Yes.
Thank you, Bishop.
Thank you.
So, what if you found you're a Christian,
Yes.
and you found somebody you want to marry, and
Yes.
the person you believe through the principles you've been taught and through your conviction that this person is the person for me to marry, but your family disagrees. Maybe it might just be the case of where the person is not in the kind of field they want them to be working. Some parents or families have visions of their children marrying a doctor or marrying a lawyer.
Right.
They have these expectations, and when they see the person you bring, what if the person that you bring, they just don't agree with that person, but you know in your heart that person is the one?
Right.
Should you pursue the marriage?
It's a lot of work to be done in this area because some people, tradition really matters to them. And if I want to qualify what I mean by tradition, parental consent and the consent of your community, it matters to them. Sometimes it's true that what, the elders, people that are concerned, that care, see ahead, you can't see. So it's always good to talk. It's always good to not make these things like tug of war, but talk and let people see reason. Maybe this is why I see A, B, C. So people can talk and let people see reason than it's not good, stop it, no. That can be, what if they don't find another one again? It means you cause them that problem. So sometimes that is where it is. I also think that the no family in any way, in any form, should in any way control the marital destiny of anyone. It's only witches that do that. No one should control the marital destiny of anyone. You don't do that. But if truly you want to marry and you want to do to the glory of God, you say, honor your father and your mother that your days may be long. It's very, very important. So the honor you give to them is that they are take before you leave your father and your mother. You want to marry, the honor is still there. After you marry, the honor is still there. So they should be in the picture. And I think the other thing I would say is, if a family or a parent has done a good job raising their daughter or their son, that time will never come where that battle is there. Because from a child, they've been taught. That's what Paul told Timothy, that from a little child, you've been taught the scriptures by your grandmother Eunice and by your mother, I think, Lois. You've been taught the scriptures. So if people have been taught growing up, they know the signs growing up. It's not when they have grown and matured in their views that you are now going to fight them that it's not right, it's left. That is a lost battle. It will be a problem. So I think if you really know where you are driving your family to, start it early and talk about it early. Don't do it late. Let it be part of the whole construction program. Let it be part of the whole growing process. Many people didn't have it that way. Their father never talked to them about marriage. Their mother never spoke about marriage to them. Everything they know, they have been learning from, different places. They are role models, people they've seen in places, that's where they've learned those things. And those people don't take responsibility for the things you think you've learned from them. So everyone, to avoid that, you must also make yourself knowledge worthy and go to places where you'll be taught more principles on how to build a good relationship with your parentage and with your people, so that sometimes choice words can help people understand that maybe the choice you've made is great. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Bishop. And it leads to my next point. So, do we really need the blessing of non-Christian parents for our marriages?
Blessing is blessing. And blessing from your parents is recognition that they have given you out for marriage. They wish you well. They wish you good. And, just by them doing that, when the priest begin to bless, you are happy, is great. So I recommend and I encourage that the blessing is not always prayer. The blessing is I release you to go and marry. The blessing is I stand with you, go and marry. The blessing is, I am for you. I affirm the marriage. So those kind of things, when we talk about marital, parental consent, where blessings is concerned, they may not be able to speak the words of the blessing, but just by the act of standing with you and encouraging you and being there for you and giving the best counsel they can give you, that is all part of the blessings. Yes. Yes.
So would you say, just to touch on that, is it right to get married because of the pressure you're receiving from your family? Sometimes based around age factors, they can say, you're getting old, you need to have children, you need to just marry, so for that reason you start pursuing marriage. Is it wrong to marry under pressure?
If you marry under pressure, you will miss the pleasures of life. You have to marry for pleasure. And because of that, don't marry under pressure. Because when you marry under pressure, you will miss the pleasures of life. You are growing. You must have children. It's kept long. Don't let those things push you into marriage. Or else you will marry, but there will be no pleasures. It will not be a blissful marriage. Take time. If you think you are growing, you have grown already. So why don't you take time and marry? If you say you don't have children, yes, you don't have them already. So why don't you take time and marry? Why do you have to now? If that's what you're going to do, you should have done it long ago. But if you waited till now, then do it well. Never marry under the pressure of tradition, friends, money, anything. Marry for pleasures of life. Marry for pleasures, not under pressure. So don't. Yes.
Marry for pleasures, not pressure. So still on the subject of pressure, what happens if a man, a Christian man and woman, I say, takes two, they get pregnant? Yeah, they've been naughty and they got pregnant. The woman's got pregnant, the man's got the woman pregnant. Is it compulsory for the man to marry the woman?
That after she gets pregnant, should the man marry the woman?
Yes, Bishop.
It's not always compulsory. It's not. It's not. If a problem happens, that's why we tell people close your legs before you marry. Yeah. Because, if a woman gets pregnant, it's not compulsory that a man should marry, or even the woman to marry the man. That may not really be the person she wants to marry. But most of the time, people have married that way. And many, many people, it was because of what was in between them. And some people intentionally can get someone pregnant so that they will say yes for them to marry. And some people can make somebody get them pregnant so that it can become marriage. But we've seen most illy that it didn't become marriage. And people were wounded badly. So it's not always yes that people will get married. And I think this is a danger. The moment there is a compelling reason why two people should marry by force, it means they never took time to think. The problem is what has made them marry. And don't allow a problem to make you marry. Though people think it's the best way to go, it's the best thing to do. But the best thing to do is wait till you marry. Don't experiment. Wait till you marry. And I think everything you want to get in marriage, when you marry, you will get it. So, and it's also respectful for the woman you want to marry. It's just respect and honor that you adore, you cherish, you respect, you honor. So you wait till you marry. Yes, but it's not compulsory that when a woman gets pregnant. So be careful when a guy tells you, let me check if you can get pregnant before we marry. Be very careful, because he may not. You may get pregnant, and he may, by the time you're having a baby, another person is having a baby for him. Because most of the time they have the same kind of, they operate with the same kind of character. Yeah.
Thank you, Bishop.
You're welcome.
So just coming back to the issue of the church, relationships do fail sometimes, Bishop, and between Christians they can fail. So what happens if there's a single sister who has a sister, or a single brother who has a brother in the church that was in a relationship that failed with somebody in the church? Is it wrong for that sister or brother to pursue a relationship? So I'm talking about an ex-partner to a friend in the church.
Okay. That is, it wasn't marriage.
It wasn't marriage.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody can control a territory or control an atmosphere. And what doesn't work for A can work for B. So the question is, if the other sister cannot marry that brother, should another person from another church marry the brother? That one is okay. That other person is also a Christian. But the only difference is because you're in the same church with that person, or because they are your friend. If the person did not play a role in the nullification of that relationship, there's no problem. Saying that the only issue is that people normally, the person that should be concerned most is the one that wants to marry. Because they are thinking, oh, this sister is still around. So if I marry, she will still be around our marriage. So, would there be tendencies that they knew each other, so something may happen? So those are the issues. But besides that, if people are serving God, people have moved on, people are in the Lord, God is helping them. I think, sometimes people should understand mistakes have happened and they've moved on in life and serving the Lord, and there's no way some things can happen again. But one way or the other, the person is going to marry. So you can't control who marries who. You can't. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Bishop. So my next point is a couple that got married and then all of a sudden they are breaking ties with important relationships. So friends, family, all of a sudden the people that were part of their journey to marriage, they no longer have communication with them or have really restricted. Is that a good practice, Bishop?
Okay, we'll have one question more because of time. We can continue. I can see you have a lot of things to say. Now, it's not a good practice. It's a bad thing that should never happen. Now, hear me. Every man, your wife is looking at you and watching you. And every woman, your husband is watching and looking at you. You have to learn this principle about life. That people that, especially a husband and spouse, they may not talk. But when the day comes, they will repeat your behavior to you. So look at this very carefully. It's not just church. If a woman invests in a daughter her entire life, she marries, the daughter breaks ties with the mother, and the husband is watching. He supports. He is okay. The lady is telling you, it's unverbalized communication that at any time I can break ties with you. Because she's broken ties with the man that has raised her for over 20-something years. The man has broken ties with their mother, and you are happy. It shows that there is a seed in him that at will, random, he can break ties with you too. So, except there are some serious issues that cannot be resolved. But when it comes to interpersonal, relational issues and all that, it's always maturity for any couple and any community to be able to resolve issues, move on. It's a win-win case for the couple that in our journey of life, if we face dark issues, thick problems, hard issues, we can sit down and solve it. But if at any issue, a community helps you to marry, stand with you to marry, counsel you, pray for you, teach you the word of God to marry, and after you marry, you run away, I think if it was initiated by the man, the woman is in trouble. It may not be now, but late. If it was initiated by the woman, the man is in trouble. And often, people are trying to hide from something. People are trying to run away from something. So, I don't think it's a good practice if truly they've enjoyed the counsel, they've enjoyed the blessing, they've enjoyed the community and the relationship. When that happens, I don't think it's a good practice. And beyond that, you don't treat human beings like that. Apart from Christians, you have to be good to people. You have to be nice to people. And you know, there are things you do that stays with you. And as you grow, you look back and, you know, you will know that, no, it was not the best of things one had done. But I think God keeps helping people and people learn every day. So that once people's marriages are working too, that is what we love and we thank God for. Yes.
Wow, wow. I'm being so blessed by this,
Thank
Bishop.
you. Thank you.
I know we haven't got much time.
Yes.
I've got so many things to ask you, but
We'll continue later.
I'm gonna just ask just one last question, Bishop, please. Because right now we're in a season where, like I said before, a lot of weddings have been cancelled, postponed, and you know everyone has their idea and visions about how they want their weddings and their marriages to look like. But particularly in the wedding day for a woman, you know, you have this fairy tale, this dream. Maybe you don't have the budget for it, and there's still a lot of pressure. But my question is it a requirement for the church to have a Christian in a church, to have a big wedding?
Okay. That is an issue. I think the church must begin, or in most of our premarital counseling sessions or in our singles, I've done some single seminars in the past, and I'm a big believer that do what you can pay for. You know, you must, they say cut your coat according to your size. Get a shoe that can fit you. No competition. Sometimes people have a man, a woman they want to marry, and they wait forever because they want this money, they want this whole ideas, this big thing they want to do. I understand it's a big day for people, and they want to make it a memorial, something wonderful and special. But you can do wonderful and special without throwing a fortune away. It depends on people. Like, I think we had touched those areas in the beginning. The church never put pressure on anyone to do some kind of massive, one powerful wedding. Every wedding is powerful. It's powerful as much as the two involved like what they have gone for. Do you like the dress you are wearing? Do you like your colors? Do you like the arrangement? Do you know what you are looking for? And after you know everything you're looking for, you have to consider, can you pay for it comfortably? Or it's under pressure. So these are the things, because after wedding you have to eat. So I think some of the things we're experiencing now, like in this church yesterday, we blessed a wedding. It was a beautiful wedding, wonderful wedding. And because of the lockdown in the UK, maybe you might have listened to this after, but because of the lockdown, whilst we were doing this in the UK, we could only host a guest of 30 people for a person's wedding. And you begin to look at it again from another angle. That The whole thing of inviting 200 people, feeding all of them, doing takeaway for them, and then going to reception and bringing DJs and feeding everybody again and dancing the whole day, the whole program, limousine, Cadillac, and all that. That whole projection is great. It's beautiful. It's nice. I think it's awesome. And everybody will like that. But is it your budget? And if you count or check your life's budget, right, from the point of marriage, you check, moving forward, is it pressure or that is what you can do? Or you decided that you want to do it that way? So I think moving forward, one of the things I will encourage people to do is don't put pressure on yourself. Once you find a man, you are okay, you do counseling, ready to marry, even post-COVID-19. If 30 people is what your strength can handle, you can still do a wedding with 30 people. You can still do a wedding with 20 people. You can do a wedding with 10 people. You can do a quality, wonderful, breakthrough wedding with 50 people. It depends on you. Save some money, keep some money, dream big, do what, it will make you work. But it must be, mutual, something the two people involved agree they want to do. People can carry, 30,000 pounds. That is even minimal I'm mentioning, to do wedding. And then when they finish the wedding, they struggle to buy lights on the key, to have lights in their house. People have done wedding and they are still paying how do we call it, from their credit card. So I think all those pressures should be averted. You don't need that. If you can do wedding of 30 people, no church, especially Restoration City Church, and I know many churches, will not stop you from, doing that. The other thing I saw that work is my spiritual father in Uganda, Bishop Kayanja. I saw him, doing mass weddings. So this is a place where, many people want to marry, but they don't have the whole financial thing, and some are already, living together, raising children. They've lived for, let's say, 20 years or 15 years, and they felt, no, I must honor this woman. I can't do it that way. And then they say, okay, we don't have all it takes, but then we are able to meet our daily needs, and we are okay. And then he raises a wedding for 200 people, for 100 people. And then, he gives the church over, and then he arranged the reception, and then they help them with the addresses, everything. You have to know that some of the people are in a certain poverty line. Okay, that is what it is. And then they do it for them. I think that is also something that helps, people to know that at least I'm treating my wife well, I've done the right thing now, and I'm happy for doing that. They have pictures they can show for the future, things like that. But in absence of that, if you want to marry, you look at what you have. Don't say, some people say things like, okay, I'll go and do the registry and we'll just live together. We won't do wedding now. We don't have the money to do wedding now. What? I will do the tradition. We'll just live together. We don't have money to do the wedding now. So this is what you do. If you're just going to do tradition and live together, then do the tradition and do the wedding the same day. So once they come and do tradition and they finish, we do exchange of vows. You commit your marriage into the hands of the Almighty God. You make the exchange of vows in the presence of many witnesses. The covenant is established, because traditional marriage doesn't establish covenant. The covenant is established. We bless it there. You don't have to wear white. It's up to you. I have explained the spiritual significance of the white to you. So right there you can bless it. I've seen people so done registry, legal. The moment they finish, they walk into the church, or right at the registry, the priest goes there. That is what they can handle. We exchange vows. We exchange vows there. and they make the vows, and their rings are on. We bless it. It's marriage. You don't have to go in. You don't have to do wedding in the church, in the church building. In the church building. No, you don't have to. So really, there are many ideas that people have that is robbing them where marriage is concerned. No, you can do wedding with 200 pounds. You can buy a ring for, ring for 30 pounds. Yeah, if that's what the woman wants. You can buy a ring for 20 pounds. There is even some past £1 ring, gold plated, shining. You can buy some. If that is what will work for the two people mutually, as long as you can put roof on your head, you can have food to eat and start building life, I don't think anyone should be under there should be no pressure. People should not rush. But if that is what they can do, who asks you how much is your wedding ring? It could be 15 pounds. Who asks you? Have you ever been to a wedding and the priest is asking, how much is this ring? It doesn't matter. If she likes the ring, she wants to marry the man, that is it. You can marry with 250 pounds, 150 pounds. Except if you don't have to rent a place. You can marry. We made our place here open for church members, covenant members that want to marry. You don't have to pay to marry here. So the rest is your ring. If the ring is 20 pounds, okay, you've covered that. If you want to serve people some things to eat, you can get some people and then do some traditional, if it's traditional marriage, you can do some traditional drink, something they call soboro, do it. So you don't need Coke and multi, traditional. Just get some few things, ginger, Jamaican ginger blast. Get some ginger roots, get about a lot of them, put them together, just bash them together, put some little honey inside, you have your ginger blast. So the whole thing is, I think people worry themselves. You don't have to be in competition. And so don't be doing the wrong things because you don't have money. Do with what you have. And the woman that wants to come along with you at the level of a financial status, she understands, so she's willing to go with you. She has counted the cost, vice versa. So the church, I think, doesn't make it difficult for people to marry. It's people that make it difficult because they've seen what their friends are doing and they want to copy their friends, they want to be like their friends. Hence, many men under pressure don't want to go close with the women because they think they have to now pay for high heels, pay for this, pay for that, and the women never go high. They have to keep going high. So take it easy and cut your coat according to your size. Do the right thing. It's not about the numbers, The reason of the numbers is if you have friends and they all come to your wedding, is great. But I've realized that lockdown weddings are beautiful. They are powerful. They choose their colors and the place is decorated nicely. And it's wonderful. You don't spend all the money to feed 200-400 people. If it can be done, here this, the other parties. If you can do it, it's beautiful because it's a memorial day that you can't forget. So I'm not saying that doing it is not important. No. Don't get me wrong. If you have what it takes and you can do a lavish wedding, do it wonderful, you can pay for it. Yes, your pocket is talking. It's good, it's not wrong. Somebody can say, oh, they are wasting money. No, you can't say that. They can pay for it. They can handle it. Wait till it is your turn. If yours is £1 ring, buy it. If theirs is, a friend of mine looked at me and said, Bishop, this $25,000. So the ring is $25,000. That's what his friend can handle. That is good. Don't say, whoa, you wasted money like that. No. It's something he cherishes and he loves and he likes. So he had the money and he invested $25,000 or $50,000 to buy a ring. There's nothing wrong with that. He can pay for it. So I think we should understand where we are going. What is the journey like? Where are we going? What are we looking for? What are we looking for in marriage? And, count the cost and cut your coat according to your size. And also always remember that everything grows. You may start on, £40 wedding ring, but one day you will put a £1 million ring on the hand of your wife. So where you started, you will not die there. So people must also understand, or else some people will never marry. The man you really want to marry don't have, what it takes, but he has the basics. You can start there and keep moving.
Wow. This is a message. This, I think, like Bishop, you have touched a lot of hearts, a lot of singles out there in the world watching this, I believe, will be blessed and feel lightened to know this information, that there is no pressure in getting married. And I think you've made it for them really easy, Bishop. You've really exposed and explained some principles here that can really help many people.
I just saw here somebody said they got married for 300 pounds.
Wow.
I just saw here because I saw my wife making a comment that somebody married with 300 pounds.
Wow.
Yes. And I remember they had a very wonderful wedding.
Wow.
I remember the gentleman came to show me the rings and I prayed over the rings. Wow. So if he's saying they married for 300 pounds, then I guess the ring, I don't know how much it was. Now, who sees you in town and asks you, how much is your ring? Show me how much. I'm married for almost 17 years. You know how much my ring is? You don't know. But am I not wearing a ring?
Yes.
It's my ring. What if it's 2 pounds? Is it your case? Is it your problem? Even my wife don't know how much my ring was. Is it your problem? It's me that I'm wearing my ring. Is it your problem? I'm married. So I think we have to come back to this.
Yes.
And we have to revamp. Or else we will create more poor people in church. People think their poverty is a church problem. No, it's not the church. They think it's the church taking offering, making them poor. No, it's not the church. It's not the church. These kind of marriages are making them more poorer. Yes. And they are willing to invest more that way than give to the church even. Yes. It's not the church. Yes. If I've never given 4,000 pounds to the church and I can pay for a hall to have wedding, and you say the church made you poorer, it's not true. Am I saying don't pay that way? No. But I'm saying it's not the church. There must be a re-education. We have to re-educate and also make life simple. Young people want this. If you want to marry, come to Restoration City Church.
Amen.
Come to Restoration City Church. We'll give you quality first-class kingdom counseling and we'll help you to marry. In fact, soon I'm doing one of my online courses, on this same thing, taking to another level.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, how to really, really find your life partner. Wow. For the special kind of singles. I'm believing God. Because there must come a revolution that people, this morning I had 250 marriages release.
Amen.
I was praying, release.
Amen.
And this year, what people are going to be marrying like that.
Hallelujah.
I think I don't know if this how do we call it? Interview should be over. I think at the time I was doing it, if it is over and people are watching it later, you would have been married later then.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Jesus' name.
Yes. You are getting married soon.
Live.
Yes. And it's a done deal.
A done deal, Bishop.
Are you doing a lockdown marriage?
I'm doing a lockdown, lavish marriage.
Wow.
Wedding.
So how many people are you expecting?
The government says 30, Bishop.
And 30 are coming.
That's right.
But it's a lockdown one.
Lockdown.
And it's going to be what you like.
100%.
Nothing will be missing.
No way.
The dress hasn't changed.
Not at all.
The ring hasn't changed.
No.
The color is the same. The cake will
On
come.
point.
But people will not eat in the wedding.
No.
So tell me, how much will you save?
Ooh, Bishop. I will save potentially at least £7,000.
That's what you save.
At least.
£7,000.
Yes, Bishop.
That's what you save.
Yes.
So lockdown forced you to save £7,000. Are you happy about that?
I'm very happy, Bishop.
Because lockdown has created identity for you. I'm now interviewing you. Lockdown created that identity for you.
That's
you
right.
wouldn't have seen things this way until lockdown.
That's right.
But it's beautiful. Except you want to wait till lockdown is over, and I know you want to wait.
Definitely not, Bishop. My mind has been renewed over the lockdown.
Wow.
And what it's done, it's shifted my direction and the purpose has now longer not been focused on the wedding per se, but on the marriage. So the investment is in the marriage, not in the wedding. My perspective has changed. Thank God there's always a pro and there's always a reason for how things happen. And I found my reason in this season to just get married, not to be sad or get upset, but to renew my mind, yes, and see the beauty in every opportunity.
I think some other day we'll meet sisters. Maybe I'll get my wife in and then you guys should talk about some of these things, because I think when some of us were growing up, marriage was very common. It happened like that. It happened, We a lot of weddings in the church, in the community, it happened. These days, both big-sized churches and growing churches is becoming difficult. It's becoming hard, and it's because something is missing that used to be in the old church. We're not talking about that today. It's not in today's church. Something is missing, and we'll look at that later. But we have to keep talking, and the more we talk about these things, the more we're going to see everybody get married, powerfully and gloriously. I think some other day we'll go to the point of socialization, to do with church life, why people are single. Is it because they are not socializing enough? They are always in church. That's why they don't have a life partner. I mean, we look at all that. Yes. My entire life has been in church, but I got the best of the cake, and I'm a happy priest and prophet.
Wow.
And so if you told me to go and socialize, go out there, I don't know what I'll go and do out there. I won't fit in. If you put me out there, I won't fit in. Yet I'm a social being. Every Christian is a social being, because if you hear my teaching on the soul kingdom, you are a social being. But when people talk about go and socialize, they want to mislead you. They are saying something different, but their mouth can't really express it. So where do you go and find a husband? Go and socialize. Go to some gatherings. Go to some meetings. Go here, go here. We do marriage counseling in church, singles meetings in church, all kinds of things we do. You meet people there.
Hallelujah.
I think the major issue is people are poor when it comes to networking, when it comes to interpersonal relationships. And socializing don't bridge that gap.
Yes.
You have to work on yourself to work on that area. If the few people you meet in church, how often do you go and say hello to people? How often do you walk to a brother without any intention? Hey, how are you? How are you today? I like what you just did. Without any intention. How often do you walk to a sister? God bless you. It's great to see you singing. And not saying that he's making advances at you. How often do you have a free mind to just communicate with people and not be having horns growing? Sometimes people are not free in the church, but they think they can go and socialize outside. So there's a lot to talk about that the church has provided that is big on how we leverage into marriage. I'm praying that many single people will marry.
Amen.
I'm ready to bless 100 marriages on a fast track base.
Amen.
And I have deployed people to be praying. I have intentionally asked people, pray for singles to marry. And I'm also praying.
Amen.
And the men are coming, the women are willing, and the women are coming.
Amen.
It's not just the women. The men too want to marry.
Yes.
And we have to make life comfortable for the men to marry. We have to, help them relax to marry. And so some other day we'll talk to the men and see. I think I've taken over the interview from you.
No, Bishop. I know we have to close, but Bishop, it's really important to ask this question.
Whoa.
Resources and materials.
Jesus.
What is available? I mean, I know you've written some books. Is there something that, you can share that anybody watching this that wants to get married really, really, really needs to get right now?
One major key in marriage people forsake is prayer. 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 And I've done a book about 350 must pray prayers before you, for anyone that wants to marry. And it's aggressive prayers. Prayer. Prayer. It's a key thing when it comes to marriage. You must know you must be intentional. You must be intentional, precise with the choice words. And so that book gives you a guide on, that kind of prayer. Do you have the covers? That book gives you a guide to pray those kind of prayers. And so it's prayer. And I'm doing more, it's prayer. The other things, I have the winning single series. That one is about dependable single, one is about how to find a life partner, one is about how to find the love of your life. One is about singles in waiting. What do you do when you are waiting? One is about, So I have about 6 of them I've done about the winning single series. And I did them not too huge books, like mini-sized books that you can just screen through from your house to work, So information builds up knowledge, and then knowledge makes you wise. And when wisdom comes, you are no more scared. Whether you are young or old, or you are waiting or believing God, you become bold, working, building together. So those books, and then I also have the winning singles, workbook. And in that pack, we have the 10 common mistakes singles make before they marry. And then there is work that you do. And there are CDs you listen to. So that pack too is there. So these are the few things that I have done. And we've done some few singles seminars and touch on some of these areas. But I look forward to the future doing some more things in that area. Sometimes we become so busy and we are carried by some other assignments. But I believe marriages will make the kingdom strong and will do the body of Christ so much good. And so I'm very passionate about this aspect of kingdom life, which is the most powerful institution that God ever created amongst men. Yeah.
Well, thank
and
you
beyond
so
my
much.
books, I should say there are other good books out there.
Yes.
Not just what I've written. There are other wonderful books out there on singles that I think can do you so much good. Some of them too are not purely on singles, but they have the principles on how to navigate from singleness to marriage. And I think single people should read single books that prepare them for marriage than single books that keep them single.
That's point.
So those are the other things too. We have to. I am single and I'm proud of it. I think it's a good title, but the question is, are you really proud you are single?
That's the question.
Maybe I am single and I want to marry. I think I may write that book. I am single and I want to marry.
Want to marry.
Yeah, but I'm proud of it. A man sees you are proud of it, so why should he come your direction? Well, I'm not against titles like that, but people have a reason for. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much,
My
Bishop.
pleasure.
It has been an amazing time. I trust we have all been blessed, and it's good to also share this information. If you've got anybody you know that may need this, make sure you just share the link. It's really simple, and all those materials and books are available. If you want to get hold of your copy, just send an email to Restoration City Church admin, and they can organize that for you. Or check out our site, and you can get access to a lot of those materials. But hey, even if you're married, it's also good to go back and read books again about marriage. You can never stop learning. So, but what a blessing we have from Bishop James Nanjo tonight. And unfortunately, we have to close. But another section, I believe, will come. So it is the end of our program. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching.
So let me pray. Father, I thank you. I'm praying for singles all over the world. People believing you for a life partner. People believing you for a vision partner, a dream partner, destiny partner. I make a decree that by these revelations and by these suggestions and by these words of wisdom emanating from your word, I pray that, Lord, you will favor somebody miraculously. There are married people who are praying that single people will find their life partner. Holy Ghost, let it be. Let relationships materialize into marriages, celebrated marriages. I declare it done. And I pray for those who are struggling in their marriages, those who are under attack in their marriages, those who are not enjoying marriages. I make a decree, oh God, that favor homes, favor them.
Amen.
Reach out to homes, wives and husbands. Peace be still. And thank you. We invite you, Holy Ghost, into the marriages of our cities, into the marriages of our churches. Let there be miracles.
Amen.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you,
In
Jesus.
Jesus' mighty name,
Amen.
we have prayed. Please spread the news and let everyone hear about this. We took some time, but we thought it wise to have come across this way. And I'm praying the next time we see you, you'll be testifying that God has established you. If you need more help, you need any kind of input, like our sister said, please connect with us, rccuk.org, rccuk.org. And send your WhatsApp and send your emails, admin@rccuk.org, and connect with our ministry. And, it's a place to go to if you want your marriage to work and you want to do well. I wish all single people well. Singles who are in relationships, I wish you all well. Those at the tipping point of marriage, I decree and declare it will happen, it will come to pass. Before 2020 is over, I prophesy that marriage galore, miracle marriage galore. God bless you. Thank you, sister.